I hope you guys enjoyed our April Fool's video this year. Big shout out to the customer that originally brought in this caulking gun with the rails attached, and then Peter, the master craftsman, who modified it to fire 40mm shells. So now that I'm in a grenade launcher mood, I figured it's the perfect time to take a look at these two pistol grenade launchers, one by Hfc and the other by Shogun. Even if you don't ever plan on mounting one to a pistol, these are actually pretty perfect for rifles as well, or even as a standalone launcher. They're both priced around 80 bucks Canadian, with the Shoguns being 5 bucks more. They're actually really different designs, so let's take a look. The Hfc Launcher is a pretty straightforward all-in-one unit. Gas goes into the left side of the body. Remember to always load gas first before BBs, just in case that valve is stuck open. And even then, always load pointed in a safe direction. 5 BBs drop into each of the 8 barrels. The middle one is a screw. Then we're ready to fire. Pull the trigger backwards and there's a nice poof as 40 BBs fly towards your target. The Shogun's launcher takes a different approach using a PPS gas shotgun shell, basically turning this into a miniature shotgun. Gas goes into the left side of the shell. If the shell was just fired, you'll have to push in the firing pin to reset it before you gas it up. Then 7 BBs go into the front of the shell. Push up on the safety latch and pull back the trigger to swing down the breech. Once the shell is loaded, push the trigger forward, triggering the shell. The Hfc definitely has the volume of fire advantage, but the Shogun's has the advantage of having swappable shells. Fire the Hfc one time and you're gonna have to whip out the speed loader. Let's look at build quality. The Hfc is largely made of metal, coming in at 181 grams. It feels solid in the hands, kind of like a gas magazine. The one moving part, the trigger, fits very well and has a clean action. It's not gonna fire unless you really want to. The paint finish is a textured matte black that we're used to seeing in airsoft. The Shogun's is mostly made of polymer and fully loaded comes in at 106 grams, which is a little more than half the weight of the Hfc. The shell is a nicely built metal unit that is actually heavier than a real shotgun shell. The breech rotates smoothly and has no play. The trigger is smooth to operate and has opposing springs for the dual action. However, I do not like the safety. It doesn't lock in tight in either position and doesn't feel that great to use. To talk about dimensions, the best way to show you is on a standard Glock 17. With the Hfc, because the trigger moves backwards, you have to mount it pretty far forwards. I found the best way is to pull out the trigger and then mount the launcher. But now the trigger is so far forward, it's pretty tough to reach, forcing you to use your middle finger. That's not the biggest problem though. It has to clamp on tight or it'll slide around when you pull the trigger. This actually causes the frame to flex so much that it restricts slide travel. I'd mount this on metal frame pistols only. I think it looks better on a rifle anyways, like this ENC M4. The trigger actually works perfectly with the foregrip, and it's a nice little surprise if someone hears that ubiquitous sound of an AEG running empty. The Shogun's fits much better on the Glock, and I'd say fits the look much better too. But the Glock rail slot doesn't have enough clearance for the screw, so you'd have to do a bit of filing. Once it's on, it's pretty easy to activate with your middle finger or alternatively with your offhand thumb. Naturally, the Shogun's mounts to a rifle as well, but I found it a little more awkward to activate than the Hfc, which feels like a standard M203 trigger. If you just want to keep one in the pouch as a standalone launcher, as a last-ditch defense, I think the Hfc takes the cake. It's just easier to yank on that trigger rather than trying to find that little slider on the Shoguns. It also has rails on the bottom, so you could. And there you have it, two very different pistol grenade launchers. Are they gonna change the game for you? I doubt it, but it offers most of the thrills of larger 40mm grenade launchers at a lower cost and weight. It's a good way of trying out launchers to see if it's right for you. If you already have some PPS shotgun shells or you're planning on getting a gun that uses them, then the Shogun's is quite a nice little option. Otherwise, I do think the Hfc is a better call. It's slightly better built, it has that nicer trigger, and it just feels a little bit more versatile. Just make sure you carry a speed loader with you. As always, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you on the next one.